what I didn't expect was when I became a dad, like I knew I was going to have to sacrifice. I knew it was going to take a lot of time, energy, and money, but I didn't expect that, like being able to provide for my wife and son and seeing them playing all day or doing what they're doing, I didn't expect to feel so great about, you
Yeah.
know, seeing that. I just had no idea
Mhm.
that was coming, and that's been interesting. All right, guys, we're on the While You Walk podcast. We do the talking, you do the walking. Today, my guest is Max Trombley. Max, can I give you a little introduction here? Uh,
Yeah.
First and foremost, Max is a husband and a father. He's a mentor, a teacher, and a coach. Max trains men and women to life purpose, emotional intelligence, intimacy, and conscious relationships. This is a quote that Max lives by. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in a given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. That's by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes, it is.
The perception of your own reality dictates the happiness and the joy in our lives. Guys, Max Trombley has a great Instagram page. I can get stuck in it for a while. It's deep, it's heartfelt, it's often profound. I was literally watching it yesterday. I got emotional and I was just saying, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. So,
Yeah.
Max, thanks for being here. It's an honor to have you.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invitation. And let's go.
I got some good questions together. Uh,
Yeah.
let's start with, so you've posted over the last few years a lot of videos on Instagram.
Mhm.
People have responded to these videos.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of crazy people out there, but
Sure.
as far as the quality feedback, the authentic feedback, what is the most surprising thing that you've discovered from that feedback? Let's just go with online and not so much in the personal work.
Yeah. That's an interesting question because I thought you were going to ask about the negative feedback, but the positive feedback, the most surprising thing by far has been this energy of like being cheerled by people. Like I get messages and comments all the time from men and women that are like, keep going. This is amazing. Thank you for what you do. Like it's an incredibly supportive community. And a lot of them are the same names. They pop up like every couple of weeks, something hits and they go, wow, keep going. Thank you. This is what we need. And I've been getting, in comments and DMs, I've been getting people who say like, your work has changed my relationship. It's changed my life. And I'm like, I'm just putting out free 90-second teachings on Instagram. I've been doing it for like, I don't know, maybe 18, 19 months. And I'm just getting a ton of positive, just genuine thanks and gratitude from people, which I really didn't expect.
That's interesting. Yeah, when I started
Yeah.
posting videos, and even when they weren't good,
Yeah. Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Even when they weren't good, I got this like people were like, "Look, man, you're trying, and I appreciate that. Keep trying." And
Yeah, exactly. Keep going.
I want to get into this. So, extraordinary people, most
Yeah.
extraordinary people,
Hmm.
have to break through some sort of challenging situation in life.
Yeah.
In your previous life, externally, you had a beautiful farm, you had a thriving career, but you said you
Yeah.
felt unloved. Can you share that story as it
Yeah.
relates to your previous relationship and what got you passionate about the work that you do?
Yeah. The easiest way I can describe this is that in my 20s, I fell in love with somebody I didn't know at the time, but it was a trauma bonded relationship. She had a mental illness. I didn't know. I found out, we were together about 10 years. I tried to serve her even with that mental illness. We built a company together. It was a photography business and we did really well. We ended up buying a farm in Virginia, like 15 acres or something. And it had rolling hills and a pond, and it was beautiful. Deer every day in the front yard. Like it was just a perfect moment. But when I arrived at that, what I realized is that I had spent 10 years so focused on the business and so focused on the cash and just getting that property somewhere else that I had missed that this is like a horrendous relationship. And I'm being abused by her emotions and like the whole safety of the relationship. Like it was out of line. And the other thing, interestingly, that happened is that during the end of that relationship, because our intimacy was dysfunctional and we weren't, safe with each other, we ended up opening our relationship. And so I got to experience sort of this open relationship dynamic for a couple of years, and that taught me a lot about consensual, clear, communication in intimacy and creating relationships. And then that went right into the dating life. And what I learned from all of it is like, yeah, it's fine. But, for many people in that world of open relating, it's kind of a coping mechanism because their primary relationships are dysfunctional. And there are some people that maybe that might not be the case or whatever. And I'm not here to judge it. But I mean, if you're dating and you're looking for monogamy, avoid those people. If you're dating and you're open to whatever, great. They're useful and they're actually higher quality relators because they've had to learn, strategies. So anyway, moving on from that. So I had this really weird last couple of years of a relationship with my ex-wife. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to figure it out with these different dynamics and relationship. And I worked on a farm. And as I was in that moment, I just realized how unsafe and how unfulfilled I was in love. And I realized what I was doing. I was just like grasping at any possibility of real love while my actual relationship was like horrendous. And I hadn't seen it because I was so stuck in business. I was building a company, I was building a business, and I was actually really good at the photography I was doing and the world that we were building. I was lit up by the experience of that company so much so that I just missed this like horrible experience that was happening right next to me the whole time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I finally got to that farm and I was sitting on the front porch and I was like, wow, I've arrived at the dream, it just got louder because all of a sudden it was just like, this is a horrible relationship. Like she is treating me terribly. And interestingly, after I filed for divorce, some of my friends were like, yeah, we saw it. And I was like, why didn't you say anything? Like what? Like all the people knew, everyone knew. And here's what I'll say. Her intention was genuine and good. But when we have mental illnesses, they really affect how we express and what we believe. And so from where I sit today, I don't hold any ill will at my ex, and I have a lot of pity for people that have mental illnesses. But I'm also a hell no to it. And so when I started dating, I was like, I'm looking for a woman who's mentally fit, capable, and vital, and alive, and wants to create a real relationship. So I dated from a grand awareness that I gleaned in the hardship of that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So,
There's a
yeah.
lot to chew on there. Good luck taking that in any direction.
Well, it's almost like you'll see a similar pattern when people focus on externally their materialistic things. To you, it was a farm and it was a good business, but some people
Yeah.
they look nice, they have nice clothes, nice cars, and everything externally is great. But the thing that
Mhm.
really matters the most, the person they communicate with all day, every day, the person
Yeah.
that they connect with, if that's not there, I mean,
Yeah.
the base of your pyramid is just destroyed, and you
Yeah,
can't.
totally. And I was able to sustain for 10 years without focusing on that. And that's eventually what happened was I was like, wow, the like core part of this life is missing. It's on fire. It's broken. And so my bad, my lack of consciousness. And so after my divorce, I did a lot of work to heal my past, to forgive my ex-wife, to clear out the grief. And then I just went, okay, what's the life I want to create now? And I decided at 35 that I wanted to find a woman to have kids with, and I wanted to create a powerful, like, part two. Basically the same kind of thing. Like I want to build a powerful company, but this time it's on my terms. It's my company. I want to have my kids and become a father and really crush it at the dad game, like really be a good dad. And then also I want to do this while maintaining a beautifully, like highly passionate relationship with my wife. And so that's what I decided at 35. And then I went, okay, what is it going to take to do that? And I learned. And that's the thing that started everything. I started a men's circle. I started teaching what I was learning. I've been doing that for 10 years. I trained in some men's work, and then I started doing facilitation on a large scale, lots of men in deep process. And then I started coaching 4 years ago and helping women and men just kind of have a better experience of life. And that's kind of my life story. Like I'm the accidental coach. I didn't ever expect to come into this position, but I'm good at it. And I started with some friends. They referred some people. They referred some people, and then it just all of a sudden, a
See,
life of its own.
that's what I respect the most is the repetitions of deep experience that you've had, and that's what I want to dig into now.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All right, so this is for everybody else, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
When selecting a potential life partner.
Hmm.
So not so much talking about preferences. I'm talking about like deal breakers and red flags. What are the
Yeah.
1 to 3 things? What are the things that people should really consider before selecting a potential life partner?
Yeah. Number one, if you're going to date for a long-term life partner, the first thing you need to consider is what are you doing with your life? Really? Like, what are you really doing with your life? If you're in your 20s or 30s and you think you might have kids at some point, that is absolutely non-negotiable. And you need to know that when you date so that you can date somebody that aligns with the possibility of having kids. I deal with a lot of people who are 35 and beyond who can't find right partnership because they keep missing this. They keep getting into these 6 months, a year long relationships, and they find out, oh, they didn't want kids after all. It's like, stop doing that. Get really clear what you're creating with your life, one way or the other with kids. And
Yeah.
then the second thing would be, what's your lifestyle? there's something that's happening with people where they have two opposing lifestyles. A lot of people are like, well, I want kids, but I want to travel. And so what they do is they find someone that they meet that's like, oh, this guy likes to travel. But then it's like, oh, but he doesn't want to have kids. And so we have to get out of oppositional views when dating. We have to go, if I'm here to create a family, focus on that. And then the secondary thing we can build. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it's so important and getting into the actual vision. What's your like, what are you going to do with the next 20 years of your life? And most people go, I don't know, but you kind of do actually. It's just the I don't know comes from too many options. And so, yeah, clarity, really ruthless clarity. Get that first. And then the second thing is, how do you experience love? So, what is your actual vision for your life? And then how do you experience love? And when you ask yourself, well, I experience love through, and there's love languages and other things, but physical touch, words of affirmation, the whole deal, acts of service. When you figure out how you experience love when you're dating, you want to find someone that actually lines up with your way of experiencing love and hopefully lines up with the way you give love. And if you can do that, then you don't have to do the whole thing where it's like, well, we love each other, but we just don't feel it. So you can get right into a relationship where you're like, wow, she lights me up in love because her natural way of loving is aligned with my way of receiving love. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And vice versa. So that's number two. And the last thing, and this is for men in particular, the last thing is your relationship is not your endpoint. Your relationship is just a piece of life that's foundational. So for men, once you've figured out your relationship, good, click it off. Like just be like, go, I'm cool with that. And now go, what are you doing with your life? And stay on that path. Because to light up your relationship, to light up your partner, you still have to be attuned to your purpose, to your drive, to the thing that's driving you. And purpose is a really difficult thing for people to understand. But ultimately, it comes down to what is something so compelling that you can't not do in your life. And if you can't figure out that answer, then get around men that are doing compelling things so you can understand what I'm talking about.
Get
Make
around
sense?
really compelling things. Yes, sounds a
Yeah.
little bit like the way of the superior man, if anybody's familiar with
Sure.
that.
Yeah, yeah. David Data, yeah. Napoleon Hill, actually, even earlier, Think and Go Rich, Think and Grow Rich. He talks about the mastermind in his book that he wrote in the early 1900s. And one of the things I took away from that is if you just hang around with the guys you went to school with in high school, like whoever the like most successful man is the top of your chain. Like no one's going to do better than that. And so if you want to really become successful in like sex, love, intimacy, financial success, like life success in any other way,
Yeah.
you need to go like, okay, where are the men that are succeeding there and how do I get in that? And so by and large, the only other option, if you can't surround yourself with men, read about them. Read about them and then emulate what they've done from what you're reading. And that's actually the path I've had to take. I mean, I had some good mentors when I was younger in life, men mentors. But as an adult, like I haven't really found any men that are operating at the level that I want to operate at. And so I just went, fuck it. I'm going to create it. I'm going to do it from what I'm learning. And then I'm going to teach what I'm doing. And that's what I've done. And that's why I now lead men's work organizations because there are men that are like, how do I do what you're fucking doing?
I
You
love
know?
like you didn't jump in a lane that already existed. You said there's problems. I'm gonna go solve it. I don't know how I'm gonna solve it, but then you just start, and now you got your
Yeah.
freaking lane and your own thing,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, it's working, but I will say I'm supported well by coaches. And so I hired a coach, a really expensive coach for business mastery. I hired a coach for fitness. I hired a coach for a couple of things over the course of the past 5 years. And by that's what you can do. Like, I mean, I'm in a financial position to be able to do that. But if you can't, if you don't have a lot of money, try to get in the room with people. If you have cash, hire people. It's actually more efficient. You know what I mean?
I'll let you know when I find something that I disagree with what you're saying, Max. Everything you freaking say, fucking
Man, I come from a logical engineer dad. My dad was just very brilliant and smart, but logical as fuck. And so for me to actually be able to work with him, I had to explain things well. And so I guess that's what it is. The dad wound.
Um,
Anyway,
well, speaking of that, most men, I got
yeah,
this website. Most men don't receive. Well, I'm talking about how our missions are aligned, right?
yeah,
So on your website, most men don't receive real guidance and emotionally mature support from their fathers, mentors, or other men. Now,
yes,
I've got a bias. I don't like studies. I don't like certifications and credentials. I like to
right.
rely on my own experience. And when
Hmm.
I don't have that, I want to find an expert that has tons of experience in a specific category. So,
Yeah.
as an expert in this space, strictly based off your personal experience, have you observed anything that might not be common knowledge? Does anything jump out at you? Like, why are we not talking about this more?
Yeah. The single most important thing that I'm developing because nobody's talking about it, And it's this idea around masculine initiations. And the most that anyone talks about is the initiation from boyhood to manhood, but that's only one, and there's three. And the second one is from manhood to fatherhood, and the third one's fatherhood to eldership or elderhood. And the reason that these are important is because across a man's life, you have to keep maturing and growing if you want to feel powerful and fulfilled, if you want to be admired, respected, and honored. If you want to become someone that's of importance, self-importance or external importance, you need to keep maturing. And right now in our society in the Western world, what we have is we have a bunch of 35 to 55-year-old men who are stuck in the prince mode. Even some of them have kids, but they're still stuck in this, like, they haven't actually moved into the next station because no one understands that there's these like sort of stations to merge through. And I'm not making this up. This goes back 300,000 years. If you look at the San people and their history of relationship to like marriage and union, marriage goes back to like 300,000 years ago. And the whole reason is you're bringing a man up in his status in the community, and
Mhm.
you're shifting what he's like, what you actually do with your life when you're a child. It's all social and emotional learning. When you're a man, you learn to hunt and provide. When you're a father, you learn how to go back to service. You're serving the community from a wider, like, I've got kids, but you're still hunting and providing. And then as an elder, you sit back and you let the young men do the hard work. And as an elder, you guide from wisdom. And we lack elders. We lack real, fathers that actually understand. And look, for the people that don't have kids, I get it. There's a lot of you. Service. You have to be responsible for something that's external to your, like, to yourself, to understand what I'm talking about. I don't have an on off switch. I've got kids. I'm always in service. Serve them first, handle myself second. Until you live in that world, you just don't understand what I'm talking about. So, anyway, this is the thing that no one's talking about, the initiation sequence, like the first, second, and third. And whatever, some people do fine without it because they come from families that model that, the maturation. Like in the American South, there's a ton of Christian families where like this multi-generational lineage kind of maturation of men, it's built in because they're just doing it. But quite a few of us come from broken his like lineages, like, and we're not being guided by the older men in our family to mature upward.
Yeah. I want to stay with this for a second. So three initiation periods. Most of us think of one, just boy to
Yep.
man,
Yep.
proving yourself. Some guys get
Uh-huh.
stuck proving themselves.
Hmm.
More specifically, with the transition from man to fatherhood, because that's kind of where we are. That's where my buddies are. We're all
Yeah.
about 40, give or take. What's important there in
Yeah.
that?
What's the legacy you're creating and what's the world you're creating for your kids? I mean, once I had kids, I went, okay, I want to put these guys through college. I want to give them a good, like a foot up in the world. Like I want to give them a good chance at life. I want to be an emotionally mature and safe father. And so basically, yeah, once I became a dad, like, fuck the me life. What am I doing with my life? All of a sudden I went, what do I need to do to give these kids the best possibility of their life? You know? And so what are those conditions? It's like my career and my financial success is a big part of it in terms of putting them through college, putting them through good schools. I'm in a dicey part of the country with pretty bad schools. And so like if I want to give my kids a leg up, I got to put them in private school. I got to take care of that. And so, how do I put myself in the position to do it? Anyway, without getting into this too much, financial empowerment and emotional wellness in my home. So, how am I raising my kids so that they're emotionally capable? Things like modeling connection with my wife, modeling repair with my wife, saying sorry in front of my kids so that they can hear that a man can say sorry for the way he acted. Like, there's a lot of stuff that comes inside my house that's I'm doing for the sake of my children's welfare. Does that make sense?
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
I'm resisting taking too many notes because I'm listening to you talk.
Whatever. Yeah.
The two things that are important in this transition,
Yeah.
financially, get things straight,
Yeah.
and emotionally, get
Uh
things
huh.
straight. Be
Yeah,
strong.
exactly.
In those two categories, right now, that's important. That's the
Yeah,
priority.
that's exactly it. Because I have a 25-year arc with these kids before they're like really like flying on their own. Most
Yeah.
kids will, I mean, they'll probably figure out their life by their, early 20s. But in terms of like out of college, in career and on their own, like, currently it's like probably between 21 and 26. And so, yeah, that's the next 25 years of my life. And so like I'm on that. I'm setting the seeds. I'm sowing the seeds so that that works out well. That's what matters to me right now. And my purpose, which is serving a lot of people, I crushed at that. So that's like the other thing. It's like I'm holding my wife and kids and I'm holding the world that I serve. That's what I'm doing.
Very fulfilled life, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's a full life, it's stressful as fuck. It's hard.
It's all the time, nonstop. That's my next question.
Yeah.
So in that thought,
Hmm.
how do you stay healthy? How do you keep your energy up? How do you manage your stress so that it doesn't leak out into your
Yep.
relationship or your work or whatever?
Yeah, I drink a lot of water and I pray. That's the answer. No, I'm serious. But here's the deal. I drink a lot of water, so I keep a vital body. I eat healthy. I eat good food, clean food, organic food. I cook most dinners myself, or my wife does. And then gratitude every single week. I start my week with thanks for the health. Thanks for where I'm at. Thanks for my success. Like I hold real gratitude, with the divine, and I don't know what your listeners, yeah, I have a relationship to God. I have a relationship to, you know, a lot. There's a spiritual realm that exists out there, I do believe, that's quite substantive and real. And so I practice with it, meditation, mindfulness, prayer. And then the other thing is I do capacity expansion and vitality enhancing practices. So Kundalini yoga is a great yogic um, practice that is really about vitality and increasing the energy we have in our bodies. And I do that so that I'm vital and capable. How do I crush it at work 70 hours a week, still serve my kids, put them to bed with a smile on my face, and wake up every day and do it again? That's what I'm aiming at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. It's cool.
With your coaching, so getting into the people that you coach and the people that you work with in the groups one-on-one,
Yeah.
have you ever used an unconventional technique or an exercise in your coaching that yielded unexpected yet remarkable results?
Yeah. I mean, I'm honest. Honesty. It's like, I kid you not. What most people don't do in coaching or in therapy is give people the honest feedback they need. You know, like someone will be talking about a circumstance they're in, and therapists and coaches will go like, "Oh, well, how's that working out for you?" Which is like the laziest coaching you could ever ask like for. Where what I don't do this all the time, but there have been circumstances where I've just called someone out and been like, "You're a fucking asshole. Like, why would you do that to people?" And do you realize that you're an asshole? Like, do you realize that like the experience your wife is having and the people around you, like, so I really draw out and show somebody the truth of their moment. And that's pretty fucking edgy and it's hard to do. And it's a little, I don't like to do it, but like, yeah, I will tell somebody the truth. And
Yeah.
that's what we need actually.
And sometimes that works. Sometimes you might not get the best result. But at the end of
People
the
pay me a lot to get my truth. And so it does work because people respect what I have to say. But in big rooms with a lot of men at lower dollar points, sometimes there's pushback. I had a guy jump in a container and he was like, I don't like the way this feels. It feels like it's too like men dominating space. And I was like, okay, wrong room. Find soft men. Go follow them.
That's a good point. If they're there, they're with you. That's what they
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The people that follow me or not follow me. I don't have followers, but the people that come into my spaces are men that are like, let's fucking go. How do I build a powerful life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what does it mean to be fearlessly authentic?
I know what I stand for. I know what my values are. I know why I'm here to, like, I know why I'm here to live. Like, I know what I'm doing with my life. And to be authentic means I will not stop or shift who I am to accomplish those things. You know, I'm here to love well, fuck beautifully, create incredibly in terms of my family, and create insanely powerfully in terms of my expression in business. And so that's it. And then I stand for some values, freedom. I stand for freedom, sovereignty, the ability to choose one's life path and outlook. These are things I stand for. And so I am pretty unstoppable when it comes to those things.
When you've got clients, what kind of people struggle with authenticity and how can they break through?
Yeah, most of the struggles around authenticity, they happen around when we had unhealthy parents, alcoholic parents, or parents that were emotionally difficult. We learned as children to posture around other people's okayness. And so, like, what I mean, for example, nice guys, right? So your mom's not kind. And so for you to get love, you have to like manipulate the field so that she loves you. You have to like do things to receive what you want. And so people that are in that posture in life where they have to like act to receive, that is usually where people are not being authentic because what they're doing is instead of being like, here's what I want and here's what I'm going to ask for, they go, oh, like, what do I need to do for the world? Who do I need to be for the world to get what I want? And so, do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I've definitely seen the pattern. And what kind of outcomes do they experience when they behave that way? When they're
Oh,
people.
it's a ton of resentment because then they try to do what they think they're supposed to do and they don't get what they want, or people don't like them for it. Like women abhor the nice guy. And because it's like if I do this, I'm going to get that, and then when they don't, it's like they get irritated. And so what happens is when you act that way, when you're not authentic and you're trying to game the world to get what you want, from an inauthentic place, and then the world doesn't give you what you ultimately want, which is to be seen or like loved or whatever, um, then you just create this dynamic where you're like, I don't know what to do, and it's really like it's confusing, and it's sad, it's depressing, and it affirms the part of you that nobody loves you, and then you're like, fuck, no matter what I do, I'm not going to win, and no one loves me, and it's like it's horrible.
So then they have that conversation, they create this awareness, they've got
Yeah.
a choice. I'm going to start being more authentic.
Yes.
What can they expect to start happening when they start to become more authentic?
Yeah, men get confused. If somebody goes, I'm going to be authentic, they go, what the hell does that mean? And the reason is because they haven't spent enough time developing an authentic expression. And so, what I tell people who are trying to reclaim a sense of self is I say, choose something that makes you scared, choose something that's beyond your capacity, choose something that challenges you, and go do it. And in doing something that you have to become somebody to act it out, you're going to become yourself. You're going to become aligned. Like, for men, it often has to do with physicality or intellectualism. And so it's like, why don't you solve a problem no one else has solved? Or why don't you go hike 5 peaks over the next 6 months and like really go beyond your comfort zone in terms of physical duress and stress and capacity? And usually when men do these things, I'll talk to them 6 months later. I've had men's circles for 10 years. And so I've given men real solid advice to learn themselves. And I've been able to track them over 10 years. And so usually men that go out and do these things, they come back and they go, yeah, this is game changing. Like I feel fucking lit up. I know who I am. Like I know who I am under duress, things they've never experienced because they've just played it safe their whole life.
Mhm.
And so that's really what I say. Like to answer your question, if you're trying to figure out yourself, go choose something that's really challenging and go for it. Do it, like whatever it might be. I had a 21-year-old kid who was like, I don't know who I am. And I was like, I knew him well enough because he had been in my men's circle for a year. And I was like, dude, you should go get a job on a boat. Like go be on a boat, become a first mate, and just like do something that no one else has ever done. So you can just be like, I fucking lived on a boat for a year. So he went, well, first of all, he was like, oh, that's not a great idea. And I was like, you gonna do it? And he's like, I don't know how. And I was like, here's 3 companies you can go apply for. So I literally gave him companies to apply for. He got on a boat. He did that for 6 months. Then he decided a mountain. So now he's living on a mountain doing all this like mountain patrol stuff. And like I talked to him recently and I'm like, how's your life going? And he's, I've known him for 6, 7 years. And he's like, dude, I'm so excited. Like I'm doing this thing. And I'm just like, wow, listen to this guy.
Yeah.
Listen to this guy. This is a guy who years ago was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know myself. And
Nice.
so, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so you've coached people and you mentioned you've had coaches.
Mhm.
Any favorite valuable lessons or, anything that you've learned from your coaches that you really took and said, okay, that shifted me. I'm going to start doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah, the number one thing that I've learned from coaching and being coached is that I often just didn't know there was a way of looking at something or a frame of understanding something that I had access to. And so, what I mean is that every one of us believes what we believe about life. And often the things that are holding us back is that those beliefs actually hold us back. And so, coaches can go, yeah, I hear you, but what about this? And have you thought about it doing it this way? And by doing that, it goes, you just go, oh shit, like I didn't even realize that. Or like, I, based on my wisdom and my knowledge, might get myself into a position where I'm just like, fuck, this is hard. And then a coach comes in and goes, yeah, but fuck it, try it this way instead. Like just do it this way. And then it's like, oh my God, you're right. You know?
Yeah, because we're so in it, especially
Yeah, we
emotion.
are in it.
We're in our patterns and we're in our emotions, we're in our egos sometimes. We can't see it, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get a coach.
Let me give you a good example in my life where this happened recently. So a year ago, 7 months ago, I was in this moment where I'm full-time coaching. I have clients every day and it's hard to hold that. And yet I need to expand. There's a part of my business that's like the second stage of expansion for my company that all needs to be built out. And I was trying to build it out in the little bit of time I had, but then I was like, fuck, like I'm dropping the ball on some of the admin stuff with my clients. And so I was trying to hold a full-time business while building the next stage of it. And I hired someone around scaling and growth for companies. And they were like, why didn't you hire somebody like yesterday? And I was like, I don't know how to hire somebody. And second, I just didn't think of it because I always do things myself. He's like, yeah, that's going to get you this far. This is how far you've gotten doing it by yourself. And he was like, I'm unwilling to coach you if you haven't found someone within 2 months. Find someone, hire them, and then I'll coach you. And I was like, fuck, there we go. That's powerful coaching, right? You can't even work with me if you don't make the right choice first.
Yeah, yeah. I actually have a coach, and if I'm not performing, he's becoming disinterested pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
exactly. Well, and I tell people like, hey, this is boring, man. Like, I want you to live at a level that's vital. And if you're not going to do that, I don't know if I want to keep coaching you.
And to some extent, they're representing, us and the work that they do with us. And
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
we're transforming over here.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But anyway, it's good. We want coaches that are powerful, that are willing to say, like, I'm a fuck no to you acting this way.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, you're more direct and more honest than where I've been. It is refreshing. I do like it.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, we live culturally in a place where no one's honest. Political correctness, we can't say what we want to say. We can't say anything because we're going to offend people. Fuck all of that. Look, as men, we need to surround ourselves with men who don't give a fuck so that we can be held at the highest possibility. I don't, people will tell me things that might offend other men, and I'm just like, oh, you might be right. Or I can go, actually, you're full of shit. And that doesn't apply to me at all. You're just projecting. But I get to actually be in a room where people are like, boom, here's what's up. You
Yeah,
know,
it's all on the table.
it's on
And
the table. Yeah.
some people can't handle the triggering, I guess.
Nah, fuck them. Like I'd say 85% of people can't handle this kind of life. And then there's like real leaders. There's real people that are like, I'm here to lead my family. I'm here to lead my community. That's the realm that I work in. And probably you too. And one of the most powerful things I had to accept was that the majority of men don't need me, don't want me, don't want to be in my space. And I don't need them. I'm here to create for men that are like, I want to fucking crush it in my relationships. I want to have the best sex in the world, and I want to make a lot of money, and I want to be a good dad. If that resonates to anybody, then that's my world.
Yeah, that's my world exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Plus, it looks like you're in a fitness gym. So you probably got the fitness piece. I don't have a gym. I've got a bunch of fucking rocks and spiritual shit in my room. So
I've got
cool.
that.
Yeah. 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 It's cool. Well, I meditate a lot. I do a lot of embodiment practice, movement practice. And but I do want to move into the fitness space myself personally. I'm going to hire a coach. I had a coach last year. I'm going to hire a coach to go even twice as hard. Starting soon. Got to get the kids back in school. Today was their first day. So,
Um, maybe we'll discuss that after the pod.
yeah.
That's my favorite wheelhouse, and I've got the experience there.
Are you a fitness coach?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
20
shit. Maybe I'll hire you. I didn't even think.
20,000 hours of personal training experience.
No, no shit.
Can I
Well,
tell you
okay.
about
We'll
the
talk after the podcast.
Well, can I tell you about the morning class? You're gonna love
Yeah.
this. You,
Yeah.
you haven't
Yeah.
seen
What
it.
you got?
So, dude, the biggest problem for guys like us is we don't
Yeah.
have time to work out, right?
Hmm.
We don't
Hmm.
have accountability or like what to do, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to all my friends and got that feedback. And then I looked at a whiteboard and I said, all right, these guys they log into Zoom at 6
Yeah.
a.m. They log
Yeah.
out at 6:30. I
Wow.
send them free equipment. I have pre-written workouts. I've been doing this forever. They're smooth. All
Wow.
encompassing. They log
Yeah.
in,
It's
they log
incredible.
out. They got free equipment. I got coaching tips in there 5 days a week. So you wake up at 5:55 if you want. 6 to 6 at 6:30, your energy is you can
Yeah.
go meditate, you can go dad, you can go work, but fitness is done at 6:30
Yeah.
a.m. Um,
Crazy.
I could go on about it. I'll probably tell you more
Well, we'll
later.
have to talk about it. Yeah. That is definitely, it's something that I'm knocking out this year. So let's chat off the podcast. But that's sick, man. I love that. 30 minutes in the morning. It's easy. I mean, I do that every day. Once I get into my work mode. So, dad life, carpool. Once I get home from carpool, I drop in, I do about 30 minutes of practice, breath, meditation, mindfulness, gratitude, prayer. And then from there I go, all right, let's crush this day. And so that's my morning routine. And it's what's carried me through the duress of the past couple of years. It's been crazy. Starting a company during a fucking pandemic is not an easy ride.
Well, you've done great, man.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah.
I do have some more
Yeah, let's go.
specific questions.
Sure.
So working with people in New Orleans, specifically New Orleans, and
Yeah.
based off your personal experience, how do you see alcohol impacting relationships in New Orleans?
Wow, that's a really good question. So alcohol is a depressant and it's like the anti-vitality drug. And so basically when people drink, it knocks them off their consciousness, you know? Like it knocks them off their precision, their awareness, their capacity to be like really straight in life. And, what I love about New Orleans is it's like, it's like the big easy, right? People are easy. Everything's cool. Everyone's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's a big underlying, like the alcohol that fuels that, the drugs that fuel that, the darkness that fuels that. And so, yeah, I mean, New Orleans is a really hard town. So, first of all, New Orleans is a port city, and it's always been a port city. And so, what port cities are, people on ships, they come, their ship parks, they get off their ships, they want to drink, they want to fuck, they want to like get down with life, then they get back on their ships, and then they leave. And so, the culture of New Orleans has sort of always been that first. And then the second thing is, the first free black people during slavery, New Orleans, the culture of like Africans and Native Americans and Spanish and French, food, music, dance, rhythms, like that's all here. It's always been here, or since the founding of this. In 1600s it was the Spanish, 1680s, 1700s it was the French, 17 something Louisiana Purchase. I don't remember when. No, it was like 1800. So it became American. But what I'm trying to get at is that this is a very vibrant and rich city. And so anyway, there's a lot of benefit, but there's a lot of darkness in that. Celebration, you know, darkness. So it's the great polarity. It's a duality of, and a lot of cities are like that, but this one's particularly dark.
Well, inside of our relationships,
Yes.
what types of adjustments have you seen people make? Are there any, boundaries or examples of, how we should be more aware of the times and places that we actually do drink?
Yeah, well, I think, listen, anyone that's listening to this, just recognize that if you drink, it has an effect on your life. It has an effect on how you feel. It has an effect on how people feel you. And if you're like a high functioning alcoholic or someone that drinks and like you're still functional in life, good for you. But it still probably has an effect on you. And so I think, the number one thing that people have to understand, everything that we're addicted to pulls us away from our consciousness, awareness, precision, and vitality. It's that simple. And you need consciousness, awareness, precision, and vitality to succeed in anything, including relationship or business. And so you get to decide, like, how checked out do you want to be? You know?
So, guys, what are you addicted to, guys? Whatever you're addicted to
Yeah,
is
yeah.
pulling you away from, go ahead, Max, say it again.
It's any addiction that you have is pulling away from your vitality, clarity, and precision in life. It's that simple. Even porn, like every time you get off as a man, your vitality goes down. You can feel it. You're tired, you're lazy, you feel good in your body, but also your like energy just dropped. And so same thing with any addictions. These addictions usually are tempering the energy that's in our body because we don't know how to use the energy that we have. We're like, this feels crazy. I need something to pull me down. And that's what these are. So anyway, and pharmaceutical drugs too, like all the pharmaceutical drugs that temper our feelings. Yeah, it'd be better to learn how to manage your feelings rather than knocking them all down.
Yeah, agreed. And some people
Yeah,
will get addicted to, it could be video games, it could be gambling. Obviously, substances are chemically addictive.
totally.
But all those things
Yeah.
take you away
Yeah, they
from,
take you away. Yeah. And they have a negative effect for sure. I mean, on your life, on your vitality, on the way you're able to connect. Video games, they numb you out. They make you like numb. Like I've had a number of clients who have had to work with their video game addictions. And it's just like, how long do you want to rob the people around you from your presence and your love? And at what effect? Women fucking hate video games. Like women in general, many women have an experience of a man who just gets home and plays video games, and it's like, where's my fucking husband? Like, where's the guy that I want to do life with? Like, he's checked out again.
repeat that question. How long do you want to, what was that? How long do
Uh,
you want to spend time away from people that you love?
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing with any addiction. How far away from the people that you love, how far away from the business you want to create do you want to get? And like every time you take a drink or you do any of these things that are addictions, you're just pushing yourself further out into the field of not achieving success in life, love, sex, intimacy, fatherhood. Like those are the goals. Those are the things you really want to be good at. And here's the thing, listen, the reason that I'm such a diehard, like fucking let's succeed at relationship, fatherhood, and business is because when you're crushing those things, what else is there to life? Like I'm fucking lit. I'm lit up. I'm succeeding. I have access to things that I didn't have access to when I was in dysfunctional relationships or not succeeding in business. That makes sense?
Yeah. Some people with this addiction, with stuff like that, we talked about belief a little bit earlier. So some people
Yeah.
they've always been addicted to something, right? They've
Hmm.
always had that's their just regular standard. They've never lived in a way where there's no addictions, and they can be fueled by their passions and excited about life. Some
Yeah,
people
that's true.
some people don't believe that you can live a life, a satisfying life, without those decompressing things or those other
Yeah.
things.
Well, the reason is because people are using anything, it's a state change. So people don't feel okay. They do the thing. Now they feel okay. And so what they believe is that if they don't have the thing, they're not going to be okay. And that's true until they realize they are okay and they can actually be okay without the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, like instead of fucking smoking that cigarette, why don't you just sit down and take a long, deep breath and go, actually, I don't need anything and I feel free in my body and I'm excited to be here. You know, it's an energetic thing. Oh my God, I'm fucking stressed. Like that's energy. I'm stressed. I need something. Boom, smoke a cigarette.
Yep.
Like it all goes down. Well, okay, you can also do that with breath. And it's like you can, uh, like real breath, like the kind of breath that actually oxygenates and slows your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Some guys are going to hear that. Some guys aren't.
Yeah. Listen, man, anyone that's listening, if you're addicted to things, it's because your nervous system is on fire and you don't know how else to control it. If you want to be without addictions, learn how to control your nervous system without other things. Learn how to use breath, learn how to use movement, learn how to lay down and just go, I don't need anything. I'm fine. I'm safe.
Yeah, that's well said. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Mm.
Yeah.
Um, so you work with guys on different levels, like a guy
Mhm.
that's not in your group, maybe a guy that's in your circle, all the way up to people that are freaking serious.
Yes.
People come to you and ask for help. What's the difference between, and what are the words that they say? Somebody that is actually ready to change and somebody who is looking for a temporary fix, or someone who's not ready to put the work in versus somebody who's like, let's go. What do they sound like? What's the difference?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. The difference between someone who's actually ready versus someone who's not. I mean, readiness for me would be like, I've seen your work for a couple of months. I heard you on some podcasts. I know what you're up to. And like, I want to do the work. I want to do it. What do I need to do? Like, that's readiness. Fit for service. I'm here. I'm ready. The other thing would be like, I don't know, my wife told me to do some fucking men's work and like sent me your link and now I'm here. And it's like, that's a mixed bag. You never know if that guy actually wants to change or he's like been compelled to by an irritated wife who's like, get your fucking shit in order?
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
intrinsic versus extrinsic.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so, hey, I'm here, I'm ready. What do I need to do? And then I go, okay, well, what are we doing? What do you want to, tell me about your life. And so I'll take an inventory of an experience that somebody's having, life, love, relationship, finance, business, self, fitness, et cetera. I'll take the inventory of the whole thing. And then I'll go, okay, here's the pieces that's not out of alignment. I get that right. And I'm usually pretty right. I'm usually pretty good. I mean, I'm sharp with my coaching and I'm pretty fast. Fast and deep. That's what I sell. I'm fast and I'm deep. We can go really, I can change a life in just a few months.
Yeah, you're dropping a lot of substance real quick here. That's awesome.
All good. We're here. I'm here for it.
All right. On your I was clicking through your Instagram, a shift in being. What can you tell us
Mhm.
about that group you're involved in, how it's structured? What types of people are there or could be there?
All right. So a shift in being is my company. My name is Max Trombley. A shift in being is my company. And I have a number of different places people can come into. So if you're just like feeding off of my transmission, you can just follow me on Instagram and like you'll get my teachings. If you want to get into my communities, I have a pretty low ticket point community that I'm launching in September, actually. I was going to launch it this month, but I just had to build some things. I've got some free courses on meditation, movement, mindfulness, like, healing the heart in my communities. And then also I have these monthly calls or multiple calls a month. In my community space, it's co-ed, and then I have a men's space and I have a women's space. The director of my company, Kendall, she's amazing. She runs the women's space. And yeah, those are like low ticket entry spaces people can get in. And then the other things that people can do, I have men's immersions. So I have one in November that's coming up. I'm going to be announcing it in a couple of weeks. Um, so in November, a bunch of men can come meet me down in Florida and we'll do some deep work around life realignment, clarity, and how to become more powerful in the way we show up as men. And so that's going to be a really awesome. I have this little venue that's in between the Everglades and the Atlantic Ocean. It's like on this little sliver of land, and it's a perfect spot for men to really reclaim access to the wild truth of our masculine essence. And so anyway, then also just one-on-one coaching, and I've been doing that for a number of years. And so those are kind of the tiers at this point. What's going to happen next is pretty amazing. I mean, the men's work operation that I'm starting right now is like a 10-year expression, and it's going to start this year with just some men. And then next year, it's going to be a couple different, like I'll have a big event with like 100 men, and then I'll have a smaller event in a very unique and interesting parts of the world that are kind of more spiritually developed. Um, so that'll be a different kind of group, 15 men in these very incredible locations. And then, yeah, and by the time my son's 14, so he's 10 now. So in 4 years, I'm going to have a men's work operation where I have a bunch of men helping me lead teenage boys in their initiation. So I'm going to open up these initiation portals. So I'm going to bring teenage boys through their first initiation. I'm going to help men initiate into fatherhood, and I'm going to take older men and we've got to get our elders back, man. I interviewed a bunch of elders years ago. I realized how important they are and how much wisdom they have. I tried to bring some elders into my men's circle, and I was like, wow, these guys aren't initiated. They're like unwilling to actually like sit in the seat of power. Like they're older men, like in their 60s, 70s, 80s, but they're just like, I don't know, we're just regular guys. And it's like, fuck that. You're elders, and we need elders. And so I'm going to build this structure where I've got like 20 elders, 50 men, and like fucking 200 teenage boys. And I'm going to run something every summer, probably like a month-long initiation process for young kids.
Dude, I hope
It's gonna
that
be fucking sick.
yeah, do that for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be like it's super cool. I'm gonna teach kids how to do crazy shit, like shoot guns and fucking light fires and fucking howl at the moon, and then also how to have conscious, consensual sex and fucking create powerfully as men. It's great.
We talked about transitioning from man to fatherhood and the importance of emotional intelligence and getting our finances together. What's important in the transition from fatherhood to elder?
Yeah. There's a deep exploration that has to happen for a man that's becoming an elder. It's a year-long exploration. And it starts with, what have I learned? And it's a deep look at, what have I fucked up? What have I gotten right? What do I regret? What do I wish I had done? What am I glad I did do? Like that's the starting point for someone that wants to go from an older man to an actual elder. And then sitting in on men's circles in silence for like 6 months, just listening, observing, noticing energetically, noticing spiritually, noticing in terms of the intellectual component, like really being a witness to the masculine experience. That's what an elder needs to do. It's part of their initiation. They just need to go, I'm here to observe for a year. And that observation year, that's sort of like them apprenticing into elderhood or eldership. And then they need to get really good at giving ruthless, fucking fearless feedback. And so what you would do is like what I plan to do, I have a whole structure for how I'm developing elders because we don't have them. And so, yeah, something that I'll do is I'll have an elder sit and give fucking 30 men ruthless feedback. Like, and there will be a structure that forces them to go out on the edge and say the thing they don't want to say. What's the thing this man needs to hear?
Yeah. So you're ruthlessly honest and open, and you create a
Yeah.
space for that, which is
Yeah.
an expectation, I'm sure
Mhm.
is set. Um, when it comes to being that direct, that honest, what are the things that when could that go wrong? How could that go wrong?
Well,
What do you stay away
yeah. So first of all, if you're going to be a man that's that straight leading men, you have to also go, and you don't have to listen to me. Like I give men permission to go, yeah, I hear you, but you know what? I don't think that really works for me. Whether I'm right or wrong, I want men to have an off valve from the pressure that was just created when they got strong feedback. And so men can always say like, yeah, maybe, thanks, but I don't know. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is I'm careful. I'm really careful. Like if you're the first man that like, let me just say it this way. If you just joined my space, I'm not going to be a motherfucker at you. I'm not a motherfucker anyway. I'm a good guy. I'm like, I care. But like sometimes strong sharpness has to happen. Um, where can it go wrong? It can't. It can't go wrong. I mean, someone might freak out and get triggered and leave. I don't care. That's fine. That doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's it. I had that happen. Someone joined an online men's circle and they like lost it. And you know what I did? He was like, he was directing all this judgment at me. He was like, you're a fucking blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, okay. And then I was like, let's test the room. And I asked everybody else in the circle, what do you think's going on right now? And everyone went around and basically was like, yeah, bro, welcome to men's work. Sorry. It sounds like you're not ready. At the guy. And I was like, fuck, I didn't expect that. But like, Man after man said like, bro, with all due respect, I hear you, but you're really sensitive around the man piece, and you probably have a father wound that you're getting triggered in. Like, it was like really good feedback. And then I just told the guy, I was like, okay, listen, so you paid for 3 months, and I hear that this is uncomfortable and you don't like the way we're running it. So I'll give you an option right now. If you want to leave, leave, and I'll refund you the entire thing. All good. Have a good day. We might not be your men. And he was like, cool, I'll think about it. And I was like, okay. So like what, like that's the worst thing that can happen is like someone's like, I don't like this. And it's like, good for you.
Yeah, and it's not you're not at a family party or a social event where someone's having a, a conversation with you and you have this like unsolicited feedback. Like you're creating
Oh yeah.
a room where guys are
Yeah.
coming to update on all these feelings.
Yeah. And just to be clear, like my spaces aren't volatile where we're like just like fucking giving people ruthless feedback. Like there's a very specific format to have that kind of feedback given. It's not left and right all the time. Most of my spaces are fun, playful, enjoyable, exciting. Like there's Q&A spaces where like someone will be like, how do I fix this thing? And I'll go like, well, here's how I did it. And here's what I would suggest. And like, here's another way you can look at it. And like, is there anyone else that wants to contribute to this? And like, so my spaces are pretty open feeling. But I think the thing that don't conflate though, like, yeah, I am sharp. I'm sharp and I'll give really strong feedback to people, but that's not just like how I run my show. You know,
Yeah,
I'm pretty kind, spacious, compassionate. I like joy. I like music. I like, you know, so I do things from a different lens, but you cannot be a masculine leader if you don't have access to the ability to speak the truth when it's necessary.
you cannot be a masculine leader when you don't have the courage to speak the truth when it's necessary. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on because you've definitely got the ability emotionally and mentally to just go into really intense places and feel. What are your thoughts on psychedelics?
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. So you asked about feedback earlier on the internet. I get a lot of positive feedback and I get a lot of fucking angry feedback when I talk about psychedelics. So here's the thing. I think that psychedelics and plant medicine can be useful to crack a man open for the first time because he just can't break through something. But what we have is a culture that's addicted to peak experiences. And right now there's just so many men that are like, oh, my next fucking journey. And it's like, here's what I'll tell you. I don't know a single man that's currently doing plant medicine that's in control and empowered in his life. I've been around long enough to see it. 10 years in men's work. I have never seen a man currently on plant medicine who is in control and empowered in his life. Now, I know people that have done it once or twice and then become really powerful. Cool. But people that are currently doing it, they're like lost. They keep getting like tossed around by the great she because every time they do this experience, they're like, oh, I learned something new, or I don't know what everything I thought I knew is gone. And it's like, fuck off. So I think it's useful, and I think men can do it and should do it if they need it, and do it, tap in, tap out, and get back to work. That's what I say.
Get back to work, right?
Get back to work. Exactly.
And I think it can be useful with that. It cracks, like it shakes the etch a sketch.
Yeah.
It
And so if you can't break through something and you need to be broken open, listen, I break through men all the time without psychedelics. And so there's a part of me that's like, you don't fucking need it. But like, okay, if you want to do it for some reason, go for it. And then remember that Monday morning, you still got to work. You still got a life. You still got to get back into it. And I'm a dad.
yeah,
Like I don't have a day off. Right. And
exactly.
so let me be honest. If I take a weekend off, I don't want to go journey. I want to just spend it with my wife and get a bunch of massages and just have the best sex of my life. Cause fucking A, my life's hard.
I used to do more long-term fasts
Yeah.
and more psychedelics, and I'm
Uh-huh.
not able to as much anymore because I need
You
my
have a real life.
yeah, and like I need to be on Monday
Yeah.
morning.
That's
And
right.
if I have a draining experience, I
Huh?
can't go run a marathon either because I got to show
Yeah.
up on Monday. Like the wheels got to keep rolling. Like I can't stop.
Yeah.
Or, things
Yeah,
don't.
totally. Well, here's the thing. You're crushing it, teaching men how to be fit. You're doing awesome. You go out, you do some fucking plant medicine, and on Monday you come back and you're like, muscles don't even matter. It's all just cells. It's like,
Well,
get the fuck out of here.
I was never much for the.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of ayahuasca. I was much more big fan of one called Iboga. It's an African one, which is
Yeah.
it's more direct and truthful and logical than the
Sure.
ayahuasca. And I was very much aligned with that one. The ayahuasca was where I bump into some friction where maybe there's some things I got to sort out. And
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I don't want to talk shit about it. These things are tools, and there's a million tools, you know. I use Kundalini yoga and I use some other tools, breath work. I have a whole toolbox of tools to help people crack open. And, you know, maybe you need plant medicine, but I'm kidding. Here's the thing, man. It's addiction for a lot of people. They want to get out of their life, so they use journeys to get out of their life. Well, it's in your life that the work needs to be done. It's on a Tuesday morning that the work needs to be done. And no plant medicine is going to fix your Tuesday. Tuesday is about discipline and rooting in what matters. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think absolutely the
Yeah. Yeah.
inevitably the route is, meditate, be consistent, show up with energy, and you got to figure out how to live with purpose.
Yeah.
That got to be there, and you will inevitably get there. It'll show you what you need to do, but you got to start shifting your habits. You got to start getting your
Hmm.
physiology right. You got to start communicating effectively. You have to learn. You have to grow, and like you said, surround yourself with the kind of people and environments that are gonna that you aspire to be like.
Yes. Let me, I want to, I'm going to loop in another thing that I said earlier. Do you remember how I was talking about these addictions and like, because of your addictions, they pull you out of your ability to show up, right? So if you drink or if you like do anything that like pulls you out, it takes time for you to get back. The thing about plant medicine is it pulls you further out and takes longer for you to get back. I'm
Mm.
not a man that can give up a fucking day. I can't give up a day. I'm every fucking day. I serve my wife, I serve my kids, I serve my company, I serve my clients. I can't give up a day and I don't want to. So how do I live this life and still feel fucking lit up? Like I'm a yes to the life I've created, and it's stressful and hard, but I'm a yes. You know, how do we get there? How do we get to I love my life. My wife loves me. My kids are amazing and they respect me and I'm crushing it in business. Like that's where we want to get to. No need to eject.
Stay in it. All right, Max, I think we're about to wrap it up, man. Is there anything
Cool.
you want to share with the audience before we check out?
I mean, man, I'm stoked to be here. You're a good dude. It's been fun chatting with you. And just, you know, seeing you pop up in my field on the internet. It's been fun, you know, having you around. I think for any man that's listening, there's two things. The first is you've got this life. This is your life. Might be the only one. And so if this is the one chance you have to make something of your life and have fun with it, what are you going to do? And are you putting yourself in the play? Are you putting yourself in the field of play with men that are actually living their lives? That's the thing. Most guys are sitting on the sidelines, not realizing they're in the sidelines or that there's even a game. But life is a game and we get to play it. And we can play hard and we can crush it. And choosing that is something that people get to do. And so one day I realized it and I checked in and I haven't checked out since. Tapped in. I'm in. And once I realized it, I was just like, fuck, I wish I knew this earlier, but hey, that's what we got. The last thing I'll say is, you know, not everybody's going to do it. And so if you're a person going through work and you start to change and shift how you are, let go of everybody else. Free them from your need to change and just do your work, do it humbly, do it from a place of just knowing that this is for you, your lineage, and the people around you. And that's, I think, what I'll leave people with.
Nice, Max. Thanks a lot. If y'all
Yeah,
are interested in getting to know Max a little bit better, we're going to have links in the show notes. Click through,
sounds good.
check them out. These circles sound interesting. I'm likely going to be dropping in. So if
Yeah,
you,
come join me in Florida. It's in November. That one's going to be sick. The monthly circles are online. Those are cool. I mean, that's kind of a support space. I do a lot of like in my online stuff. It's like, all right, what's going on in your lives? And I might teach a little bit, but the in-person stuff is where the magic really happens.
that's awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Thanks for having
Max,
me.
thanks a lot.